In the early 1980s, 6 women vanished in broad daylight, leaving no clues, no witnesses, and no answers. All 6 bodies were eventually found in bushland. Police suspect it was the work of one serial killer, preying on innocent women at random. But despite rigorous investigations over the past 25 years, the case remains unsolved. Tonight, 2 gifted psychics focus on the murder of the youngest victim, 14-year-old Catherine Headland. The psychics will unearth new clues that could unravel the answers to all 6 baffling murders.
Catherine, try and show me where you are.
There's the water.
Stop, she said. Have a look.
I almost saw someone standing there. There are still bodies here that are yet to be found.
I don't think she's the only one out here.
My one big regret was that I'm very sorry I didn't walk into the bus stop. I was the boyfriend, and I didn't do what was required of a boyfriend.
John, she told me to tell you that you had nothing to do with this, about her missing. She's giving you a kiss goodbye and she's waving.
You can blow her a kiss saying that. Just tell her to remember. I remember how good a kisser she was. Catherine was a lovely person, very pretty girl, very attractive girl, beautiful personality, good family, and we just clicked. I was falling in love with her before I even started going out with her. Stealing a kiss every now and then, walking arm in arm, all the things that young people do when they're discovering love for the first time. I planned on marrying her. At our young age, we actually talked about it. We just enjoyed each other's company. Catherine had a horse by the name of Prince. He was a very large horse. He loved her. You could see the horse liked her and vice versa.
Catherine used to wear a leather anklet, and we all used to, but I think Catherine was the only one that sort of left it on. The leather came from my dad's bootlaces. We used to cut them up, and Catherine's was so thin because she'd worn it for so many years and it had stretched out. We used to hang around in a group around here or in the park and up and down Cardinia Street, and Manuka Road was kind of our block. And we thought we owned it and we thought we were safe.
Everyone's good. The last time I saw Catherine was a Thursday back in 1980, and she just started work at the Coles supermarket. On that particular morning, she came round to my place at about 9:30, 10 o'clock. And we spent time listening to records and music with a couple of my friends. About 10:45, she said she had to, catch the bus. She was sitting in the lounge room, saw the bus go past the house. Catherine didn't want to go to work, and we kept saying to her, it's only a short shift, you'll be home around 5 o'clock, and we can go and do something then.
I've got to go.
She said, I've got to get going now, John. She gave me a kiss and said, I'll see you later on today. And I said, well, I'm looking forward to that.
I'm going now.
What? You know, you just ruined our home.
I have to go to work.
See ya. See ya.
And I walked out the back door and...
We better get off to work. Bye.
Bye.
She walked down the front of my house to about the mailbox. We waved each other goodbye.
See ya.
Then I went back inside the house. Berwick back then was very open. There was only one house between my place and the bus stop, but it would have been a straight 100-metre walk to that bus stop.
Hi, Miss Headland.
Look, I'm looking for Catherine. She hasn't turned up for work.
Just a second. John, Catherine didn't turn up to work.
After Catherine's mum rang and said she hadn't showed up at work, Peter Cucks, Billy Cucks and myself walked down the actual road from my place to the bus stop. We're looking for scuff marks or any sign of a struggle or, anything that might, her bag or something that might have been dropped on the ground. There was actually nothing.
We will never know what happened, but I don't think she ever got on the bus.
If Catherine was to have been taken or kidnapped, she would have only hopped in the car with someone she knew or I knew. It was like all of us were told, don't talk to strangers, stay away from strangers, keep your distance. But if she was actually forced or grabbed, I'd say she would have put up a huge fight. She had a lot of mind strength and a strong, very strong will. You knew if you mucked around, had a muck around fight with her, she could probably throw you on your back pretty easy. She would have scratched, clawed, or punched, kicked, or nailed him between the groin.
John McManus?
Yeah.
Detective Shepherd, this is Detective Ashwood. We're investigating the disappearance of Catherine Hegland.
Yeah.
Wondering if we can come and have a chat.
Police actually deal with the initial investigation with the theory that Catherine had run away, or she'd run off with an older man, seeming that I wasn't good enough at the time, or that I'd actually got her pregnant, and I was hiding her somewhere.
All right, John, why don't you just tell us where she is?
I don't know where she is.
You've either heard her or got her pregnant and shacked her up somewhere. Come on, where
I
is she? Did she
haven't
run
done
away? Now, where is
anything.
she?
I'm telling you the truth.
At no stage did I think Catherine had run away. She had a loving family, she had all her friends in the area, she had a lot of friends at school. We were always strongly under the belief that something untoward had happened, that we could have prevented if I'd walked her to the bus stop, see, so... But you live with that for the rest of your life, don't you, so...
Adrian Tame is a best-selling crime writer who reported on the Tynong North case. He is now a columnist for Melbourne's Sunday Herald Sun.
During the 30-odd years that I've spent covering the activities of the Melbourne underworld, there have been a couple of cases quite distinctly that have intrigued me and kept my interest going during that period. One of these is the murders commonly known as the Tynong North murders. Tynong North's a fairly nondescript, unattractive little area of scrubland on the eastern outskirts of Melbourne in the state of Victoria in Australia.
What do you reckon? A bit further down here, I think it'd be okay.
A man called Graham Brenchley, who was a garage owner in the area, and a mate of his called Tom Luby had spent the morning of December the 6th, 1980, slaughtering 9 lambs, and the pair of them regularly shot foxes in the area of scrub in Tynong North, and they felt that dropping offal in that area would feed up the foxes. So they drove in a ute deep into that scrubland area.
Over here?
No, that's too far.
When Graham Brenchley wandered a few metres down the track and noticed what he immediately recognised as a human body.
Right.
There's a body over here.
He shouted to Tom Luby, and at that moment he noticed what looked like a second body. Very clearly, they had to do something immediately. They got what offal they'd already scattered back in the ute and reported their finding. The first 2 bodies found at Tynong were those of Bertha Miller, aged 73, and Anne-Marie Sargent, aged 18. The day after the discovery of the bodies, police returned to the area, ostensibly to search for clues, and in fact found a 3rd body.
It was in this section of scrub where police unearthed the 3 female bodies over the weekend that they found a new cluster of bones early this afternoon.
One of the bodies is a girl we believe to be young, a teenager, with darkish hair. And the significant thing about her is that she was wearing a couple of earrings, and also that she had a thin leather strap, we believe, around one of her ankles.
That body was later identified as that of Catherine Hegland. The bodies of 3 other women who disappeared in the area around that time were later included in police inquiries. One of these was Narumal Stevenson, 34, whose body was found at Tynong North, roughly 2 kilometres away from where the first 3 bodies were found. The other 2 were Alison Rook, 59, and Joyce Summers, 55, whose bodies were found in the vicinity of Skye Road, Frankston, something like 40 or maybe 50 kilometres away from Tynong North. There were a number of reasons for including the 2 bodies found in Frankston with the 4 bodies which were eventually found at Tynong North. One was that all of the victims were either waiting for public transport, i.e. buses or trams, or hitchhiking. They were all women. All of the disappearances were during daylight hours. They were all in the same area within a 30-40 kilometre radius. They were all found in scrubland, and it is probably very significant that no tyre tracks, no footprints, no murder weapons, nothing whatsoever to identify the killer was found on or around any of the 6 bodies. So there was a quite justifiable presumption that one individual was responsible for those first 6 disappearances.
Next, we retrace the police investigation, which led to 6 prime suspects.
It's much more than a myth that when police conduct a homicide investigation, the first 48 hours are absolutely vital. It's quite often where the important clues that solve a homicide are discovered. So here we're looking at between 2 and 4 month gap between the deaths and the discovery of the bodies. So it's quite easy to see how badly that any sort of clues would have been obliterated in that time. It was impossible to discover whether or not they had been shot, whether they had been stabbed, or whether they had been asphyxiated. DNA was not a factor, because no DNA was found on or near the bodies. During the course of their very extensive inquiries over something like a 20-25 year period, police have interviewed well over 2,000 people. They have collated something like 12,000 pages of notes and come up with a number of suspects. One of these suspects was a notorious convicted murderer and rapist known as Mr. Stinky, Raymond Edmonds, who allegedly made a cell confession in Pentridge Prison saying that he had killed so many women that he could barely remember, and there was a hint that Edmonds included at least one of the Tynong North victims in that list of women that he had killed. One of the other suspects was a taxi driver. Various people gave descriptions of both the vehicle and the driver, and from those descriptions police were able to trace this taxi driver. They in fact cleared him of any suspicion of the murders but charged him with other unknown offences. Another individual that police were looking closely at was known as the Wobbly Wheel Bandit. His modus operandi was to drive alongside women drivers, point to the back wheel of their vehicle and motion them to stop. When they did so, he told them that the back wheel of their car or whatever vehicle they were driving was wobbling, and would they like him to help. He would then get underneath their vehicle, call them close to so that he could look up their skirt, and in fact on at least one occasion, I believe, then raped the lady that he had pulled over and was subsequently convicted of rape, but he was eliminated by police from any suspicion of being involved in any of the murders. This individual, the Miller suspect, worked in the area. He was known to 2 and possibly 3 of the victims. He was a distant relative of Bertha Miller. He was known to be a friend of Catherine Headland. He certainly knew her, and there is a distinct possibility that he also knew Anne-Marie Sargent. He had an alibi which had caused early police investigations to clear him of any suspicion. Another suspect was a somewhat shadowy figure known as Robert. Robert was alleged to have been a fairly close friend of Alison Rook, one of the 2 Frankston victims, and regularly attended bingo sessions at Frankston with Alison. Robert has never been identified, and he has, for that reason, has never been eliminated. One of the main suspects who still has not been cleared of suspicion of the murders is a man who is now in his early 70s. He is a man known to be deeply religious, a member of a church, married with 3 adult children. Police, when they began their inquiries, came up with 4 criteria. The main suspect that I'm talking about was the only one of the suspects that fitted all 4 of those criteria. Another contributing factor to police's suspicions about this particular individual was the fact that he failed 2 lie detector tests. There are a lot of other reasons why police still suspect that he may be their man. These include the fact that he was a habitual offerer of lifts to people standing at bus stations. Nearly all of the people that he offered lifts to just happened to be women. He claimed that he'd offered something like 50 or 60 lifts in the 18 months before police interviewed him. He claimed that he only had a 2 to 3% success rate. He claimed that he could only remember picking up 6 women. Perhaps that's a coincidence that there were 6 victims, 4 at Tynong North and 2 at Frankston. Police had found out that on at least one occasion he had been arrested and charged with soliciting for the purpose of prostitution. He also frequented local sex shops, and he was known to have responded to an advertisement in an underground sex magazine. So he certainly was not the squeaky clean churchgoer that he purported to be. Police obviously presumed they were dealing with a serial killer. At no stage has any police inquiry been able to find quite definitely that this was the work of 1 man, 2 men, or even 3 men. We really are no further down the track than we were in 1980 when the bodies were first discovered.
I want to know what happened because, you know, there's so much speculation around it all, and you've got to put it to bed sometime. But he's still free. Whoever did this is still out there, so.
There was a chunk taken out of my life that most people don't have, and that caused problems. You can't sort of like say you've had the perfect life. How many people can say they were with a girl and she was murdered? How many? And there's not a day I don't think of her. Not a day.
Next, 2 exceptionally talented psychics join the hunt for a serial killer. To assist in Catherine Headland's case, 100 psychics from across the country were individually tested. 2 obscure murders were chosen for the testing procedure. Presented with only a photograph of the victim, the psychics were asked to provide details of the crime, the location, and killer. Of the 100 psychics tested, only 5 were able to describe intimate details in both test cases. 2 of these, Deb Webber and Scott Russell Hill, have been chosen to investigate Catherine Headland's case. Deb Webber is an exceptionally gifted psychic who lives and communicates with the spirit world.
It's either May or Mary, because I've definitely got an M around her name.
Deb regularly tours Australia, conducting seminars that present life after death as a reality.
If I can't find the answer, if it's getting too confusing, I usually ask my spirit guide to come through, because I have one guide that I usually work with. So if I get stuck in my ability, I have a backup. So they can actually organise and structure the souls on the higher vibration, who we call the other side, for their messages to come through a lot clearer.
That's it. This is the one.
Scott Russell Hill is the author of several best-selling books and appears regularly on television and radio.
This is the kind of housing that I've seen in my dream too.
Most of his visions play out in his dreams, like mini movies.
To tune into a case, I've found the best way for me to initially get any kind of information or allow someone to walk in, because I have people in my mind that I see that step forward on each case, is if I have a date of birth. I do get information, a symbol or a song or a name. Without it, I don't absolutely have to have the date of birth before I can get any information. But as soon as I get the date of birth, in some way it allows me to tune and focus in on the person I'm looking for. And also they seem to know on the other side as well, and they tend to step forward to the date. It's like a magnet.
Psychics, sometimes I believe in them, sometimes I don't. Sometimes they're spot on, sometimes they're way off.
psychics, people like that intrigue me. I wouldn't mind sitting and talking to it. It wouldn't scare me.
I'm a skeptic, I suppose. I was impressed by the efforts of the psychics in this series. I would like to think that I keep an open mind with a tinge of cynicism behind it.
Psychics tell us that the spirit world operates at a much higher vibration or frequency than our physical world. To communicate with the spirit world, they must tune into this higher frequency, like tuning into a radio station. Psychics will often just get letters or sounds, much like the reception of a car radio when driving through a tunnel. Highly skilled psychics are able to decipher these fragments of information and accurately interpret the meaning. The psychics have been told they're working on an unsolved murder, but they have not been given any details of the case or the people involved. The psychics have been flown from interstate to minimise exposure to the case. The psychics have never met and have been kept separate from each other at all times. Each psychic has been filmed non-stop in one day. They were kept under constant supervision to prevent them from researching the case. And the production team gave no responses during the readings. To assist in the Catherine Headland case, the only thing Scott is given is the victim's birth date, which is placed inside an envelope.
I can see a black car. I don't know what make it is. And I can see a green car, a light greenish car that's a Tirana. I've got two diverse things happening. I've got Downtown by Petula Clark and What I Like About You by the Romantics, which is a later song. So I tend to pick up on songs sometimes for whatever reason, and I'll figure that out, but I can almost see a car driving around that's playing that song by the Romantics. What I Like About You. Dun, dun, dun. And being a DJ from way back, that was about 1980. So the year 1980 is significant. It's definitely a female energy that comes off of this, and I'm seeing a unicorn with a horn coming out of it, so there's my first bit of symbology that I hope will make sense. And I have the name Margaret very strongly, but I almost feel like there's two Margarets. But there's definitely a female Margaret in some way connected to this case or involved with it.
Deb Webber prefers to work with a Christian name, but first she's given the victim's earring, which is wrapped in padding and placed inside a sealed envelope.
I don't know what's in the envelope at the moment, but it's young, really, really young. Young. Fair hair. Who's that? It's an article to do with someone that's been with the murder. Something that was found at the murder. Is this an earring? She's going like that at me. Horses. She liked horses. She liked riding. She said she was a country girl. I'm not getting a child, though. I'm getting a young adult energy with her. So she must be sort of, 20s or something. I'm not really sure. Younger. She's saying to me younger. She's actually younger, so more a teenager, 14, something rather, around about 14 or something.
Catherine was 14 years old when she was abducted.
Doesn't feel in her 20s at all, feels like a teenager.
She didn't run away from home. She did what she was told. She said fairly obedient. Yeah.
Now I'm getting 1980, 1980, 1980 all the time, but we'll see. I'll look at it. Well, there's 1965, so there's Downtown.
Downtown by Petula Clark was a hit song in 1965.
If this is her date of birth, then 1980 is significant to when she passed over.
Catherine passed over in 1980.
Yeah. I don't know your name. She's saying to me, what's my name? Catherine sounds nice, but it's not her name.
Deb has provided some astounding information from an earring padded and sealed in an envelope. The production team now give Deb the victim's name.
Her name's Catherine.
It is Catherine? Catherine sounds nice. And then she smiled at me. I thought she was joking.
And I'm pretty sure this is the girl that I've referred to as Kathy Carroll? Carol Kathy?
Way back, 3. She's given me a 3, so it might have been 30 years ago or something. It's a 3. Catherine, 1, 2, 3? Oh, about 20, 30. She's humming and hawing about her timing. But I know it was a long time ago. Oh, she's going, oh. She keeps drifting off like a little girl would. Come back. Time frame which you show me is, about 20, 25 years ago. 25, roundabout.
Catherine died just under 25 years ago.
Now that I have this card, this energy's been around for quite a long time. I've actually felt this energy through some other cases. I'd have to say that she's been with me for at least, well, even before I started, there was 3 or 4 man energies. She's now stepping forward really strongly, particularly since I've had the date of birth as well. It's all fitting in. But as she steps forward, so other people are stepping forward as well. And there are other people that have died. They may not all be connected with her case, but they're all linked in some way. I feel like she had contact with the perpetrator or knew them before or had seen them from time to time, because this date of birth shows someone who would not take a stupid risk.
Could have been on a weekend. No, during the week, she said. Okay. Later in the week, though. Either Thursday. She doesn't like Thursdays anymore.
Catherine was abducted on a Thursday. Next, the psychics used the spirit world to return to the morning of Catherine's disappearance.
Pushed in between 2 people. She was pushed in between 2 people in head first.
Plenty of fun. Where are we going?
Still, with only the birth date of the victim, Scott senses more information.
It's like she was going somewhere, it's daytime, it's not nighttime, it feels like mid-morning-ish, lunchtime-ish, she's walking somewhere.
Catherine did disappear in the morning.
I'm going now.
She was somewhere else, staying somewhere else at the time. So I've got her home, then I've got another place to the side of it.
Catherine disappeared after leaving her boyfriend's house.
And I can feel her walking along a street, being approached by someone, and then she's gone.
But she knew something was wrong when he got out of the car, because he grabbed her wrist straight away and pulled her in and into the car. Pushed in between 2 people. She was pushed in between 2 people in head first.
You'll have plenty of fun.
Where are we going?
You'll find out.
She's brave. She said she tried to make conversation to calm down herself. The people calmed them down. And she said they just touched her hair and her hair. She had length in her hair. She thought about her mum and her dad, and everything. She just kept revolving over the family. I think there must have been a brother or something here, that she's missing her brother. She's saying, I love my brother, I want my brother. And there might have been two, one brother.
Catherine had one brother.
A fella had a beard and a moustache. beard and moustache on one of the fellas. Yeah, I've got it. It's all right. She's got beard and moustache. Got shivers. Absolute truth. Stocky sort of build man as well, not fat. One of them had hair colour similar to hers. He had black hair, dark hair, because she got that off his arms. His arm hair was the dark colour. But he looked older than this one. He looked younger. So to her, compared to other boys that she said, he's the younger one. He was revolting. She said he was yuck. She didn't like him. He's the one that kept touching her all the time.
Shut up.
But this one with the beard, bluey green eyes, olivey eyes, also had a marking on his elbow, like a scar here. For some reason I've got a connection to do with the school, but he didn't know her. He also must have been a parent at the school.
And I feel that there's a school that's significant. I can almost see him standing on the oval looking at these school children.
Got that statue, that monument thing. They look like horns out of the ground or something. She didn't go to a private school, I don't think. She went to a state school, of what I believe. But St Margaret's is up there, the girls' school.
There is a school called St Margaret's in Catherine's hometown of Berwick.
Because she remembers seeing him but not knowing him. I thought he was a father, but he could actually be an older brother of someone that was actually in the school at that time or something. There was some sort of connection because he was watching it all the time.
Get her in the back.
Yeah, they stopped somewhere else on the way, though. They had to stop somewhere else because they raped her as well. She got smothered. They smothered. She couldn't breathe. I'm getting more suffocation feeling. Again, the heaviness in her chest area. She couldn't breathe. And then they took her to this place and covered her body, put it in the bush. Right, okay. So she was actually naked when she was placed in the area because I'm not getting clothes sort of on her body.
Catherine was found naked and covered with loose branches.
Must have been a reserve close by. No, that might have been a dam or something too with a reserve because there was quite a big amount of water.
Spread it out a bit.
Oh, so that's interesting. So there's a couple of men that found her body.
Catherine's body was found by two men.
Oh, so it's strange, isn't it? She said. Catherine, why were they? Do you know why they were there?
Over this way a bit.
No, she doesn't know. She doesn't care. They were just there for the day, sort of. They were visiting in a sense. There was an animal, but I don't think they actually had a dog or anything. I think she's more picking up wild animals in the area. Yeah. But she remembers something sniffing at her at some stage, like a dog.
Catherine's skull was never found and is presumed to have been taken by wildlife.
There was someone else with her that was murdered. I don't feel that was happening on her own. She had someone else with her that was murdered as well. She had company, she's saying.
There's like 5 or 7 other people, all female. There's not a male amongst them. They're all female energies that are stepping forward with this girl, and they're standing right behind her, and the Margaret person is one of them.
They've taken a few more, not one, few more. Not always the same area though. They don't stay around the same area, they look in other areas. Maybe two or three more. She's not the only one.
Catherine was found with 2 other bodies. 6 victims in total have been associated with the Tynong North case.
But in some way, Margaret is related to this case, and I feel too that she may have just lived around the corner or nearby to where this girl lived. They seem to be linked. And there's so many people lining up behind this girl that there's a number of people who have died.
Try and show me where you are. That's where I've got like farms or something. It feels like water somewhere close by, so it could have been a river or a dam, a lake, anything like that, because there's water close by to where she was actually found. And she's saying, take you about half an hour to get there. 20 minutes to half an hour to get there, depending on lights.
The location of where this girl was found or whatever, I feel quite strongly that maybe I can find it.
Give me the suburb. It's not Williamstown, is it? No. She's going the other side, the other side.
I'll go where she wants me to take you.
All right, well, I'll have to go the opposite to the city because she's going that way.
She's showing me the building, she's showing me a school oval, she's showing me the unicorn.
She's pushed me around in a bend. It's all right, stay with Berwick.
It's like I've opened the floodgate and she's just gone bang.
Next, the psychics retrace Catherine's last steps and reveal new clues about her killer. The psychics are taken to Catherine's hometown of Berwick on separate days.
There's a few things that are coming to mind as we're travelling along. When I first had her name step forward, I would have gone with Carol because that was always the first one, the Carol Kathy. But I'm going more now with Kathy. Kathy Catherine would be stronger. With a C. It's not with a K, with a C.
Catherine's name is spelt with a C.
I feel the unicorn head is somehow attached to the Margaret lady. There's a lot of ladies involved in this case. I'm concentrating on Kathy, but I'm getting more people. And the girl that's with her, that's holding her hand, it's as if they died in the same way.
Deb and Scott are taken to Catherine's boyfriend's house in Berwick. This is where Catherine was last seen alive.
All right, well, she knew the people here. I know that she had a warm connection with the people in this house. But she was actually out here at the point of when she was taken because the actual car came down that way, from that direction, I feel, and came into this way. Yeah, so it actually came in this way. And it must have done a U-turn because she kept saying the car turned. So the car actually turned and came back in front of her.
And it seems to be late morning towards lunchtime, and I feel that she's going somewhere. She's going off to work or to visit someone, or it was like, yep, let's just get to where I'm going, and she didn't get there.
Catherine left the house at 11 a.m. on her way to work.
And I believe it was a utility because I can't see anything at the back. There was no back seat, and that's why she was shoved in the front.
Maybe one of the cars is a ute, or there's something a bit different about it, that it may not just be a sedan.
White. Had blue trim somewhere on it though, because there's a dark blue. There was a dark blue trim or something on the side of it.
There's a film connection, whether it be amateur or professional, to a suspect, but there's more than one suspect. That black car, I feel it around here, but I feel it at Frankston too. I feel it at other places. I don't feel it just here, but that person is very familiar with this whole area. Around and around and around they go, always in their car. But I feel the other colour car too.
One of the police suspects drove a black car.
The black car feels very foreign to Kathy. I don't quite feel that she went in the black car. I feel more that someone came along that she knew, but not a great friend, just someone who, hello, how you going? Oh, I'll give you a lift.
They pushed her down so no one could actually see her. So it looked like two men and that was it, just driving off into the distance in a sense.
The girl that's standing with Kathy,
Her name's either Anne or Anna. Comes across very strong, the A-N. Anne, Anna. I can't think of any other name that starts with A-N that's female. I feel I want to say more than that, though. I want to...
Scott has accurately identified the name of one of the other victims. Anne-Marie Sargent was found only metres from Catherine.
How did you pass over? She said it was quick. When she died, it was very, very quick. But it was the torment up into that. But that wasn't, again, it wasn't hours of torment. It was very, very quick, the whole situation.
The psychics are now taken separately to the site where Catherine's body was found.
I feel that I'm also looking for, I think it's a big pond, like a lake or a pond. It's in a bushland setting. It seems to have some natural scrub around it. And when I picture this pond, I can feel myself in the setting, but I can hear a highway in the distance. I can hear cars travelling up and down the highway. As we drive along this road, I feel at least two people. There's two different energies of people up this way. I feel the energy of someone who's died back up the road where we turned off, and I feel the energy of Kathy up this way. Someone else has killed her and buried her through there, but her name is definitely Sophie. She has blonde hair. I actually do see her. She's got straight blonde hair with a fringe. Her family may have a Western Australian connection. She feels about the same age as I think Kathy is. So I think about 14 or 15. But I feel that she's missing and not found. But she's buried through there.
Scott has picked up on a name which is not connected to the Tynon case. The private investigators follow the lead with astonishing results later. Next, the psychics hone in on more victims when they are taken to the crime scene.
She's actually still here, like the soul's here. I can feel her.
Do you know, I almost saw someone standing there.
The psychics are driven to the far end of the dirt track where Catherine's body and two other victims were found.
There's the water. That's the water that I'm looking for.
Deb and Scott are surrounded by bush and are asked to find the exact location where Catherine's body was found.
Well, this is the lake, or the pond that I've been looking for. But I'm not feeling that Kathy was in the lake or anything. I just feel that this is like a landmark just to verify or validate to me that I'm heading in the right direction.
So she wasn't actually in the water. She's saying I wasn't in the water, but I was near it, so I'm going to keep down a little bit more.
It's really hard to split things up because I've got a definite energy of someone who's buried over there. She's Sophie, and that's a definite energy that way. I've got a definite energy that way of an older lady. And I want to go this way, just over here, with Kathy and another girl.
Scott has correctly identified 3 known victims in the area, including 75-year-old Bertha Miller, but he has not placed their location correctly.
Catherine, show me where. Sort of in here somewhere. So she's got me in a ditch. I'm needing to find a ditch that she's sort of over here. There we are. Is that where you were, Catherine? No, opposite the water, she's saying. So she must be up in this area. Show me where I am, Catherine. Feels like it's in here. In this area, somewhere in here. But not too far in. It's not too far in. Catherine, tell me where to go. Stop, she said. Have a look. So many ditches, isn't there? So many. Little bit more, she's a little bit more. A little bit more. It's somewhere here. I feel like I'm virtually on top of her, you know, where she was, but she's somewhere in here somewhere. She's in here. Where are you? Catherine, where was it? She thinks it was in here somewhere. She feels that this is the area. She said it looks the same to her that it was behind the tree. So she had a tree in front of her. So she must have been going to go round. Ah, kangaroos. Yeah, and in here. This is where she was, in here.
Deb is standing exactly where Catherine was found.
I feel this tree had this tree, near this tree here. So to her bearings, her direction, somewhere around in here, that her body was laid, covered.
The person who killed Kathy also killed the Anne and Anna girl. I feel that they were together and that it looked almost the same and that they just weren't plonked. I want to say that they were almost placed in a position and that they were covered. That's how it looks. I don't feel that anybody was buried.
Scott is correct. The bodies were placed in a particular way, but Anne-Marie was actually found beside Bertha Miller.
Well, I keep being drawn over here. But I'm picking up a male energy from over there too now, so I'm a little bit screwed, guys. I'm not sure.
Scott is having difficulty locating where Catherine was laid, so the production team lead him to the spot.
Yeah, let's not waste any more time.
She was here for quite some time because they didn't recognise her by looking at her.
Missing the skulls.
She's showing me tape around the trees. Oh, shit. Sorry. And she's still here. She's actually still here, like the soul's here. I can feel her. Yeah, that's why I jumped before. She walked up behind me. Oh, shit.
Do you know, I almost saw someone standing there just then. Just why I looked, because I thought someone was there.
They dragged her body to this point, and I'm not getting carried. I got a dragging feeling about that.
This man has definitely killed more than once and is responsible for, I feel, the energy of at least 3 or 4, perhaps even more.
He would have only been in his 20s.
And he's a guy at the time who probably would have been around 25 years of age.
Yeah, she said he was a very scary sort of man, the younger one, boy.
Whoever killed Kathy had a familiarity with this area.
No, I have a feeling one of them had been out here before. I really do. I think one of them had been here before.
And I don't know what kind of work there is around here because it's all bushland, but it's like they had a working knowledge of this area, the trails. They were around here quite often.
Like the green shirts also, you know, you work with the green shirts and the khaki shirt and trousers, like earth movers.
It's like they worked in this area in an industry around here, whatever has been really close by here.
So he might have actually worked close by to here with big machinery at one stage, because he had to wear a uniform as well.
That's the noise that you can hear from the spot. It's not the highway, it's definitely the quarry.
There is a quarry further up the road.
I feel most strongest that the man who worked in the quarry or had something to do with trucks or earth moving, that he was the one that killed Kathy and the other girl.
But there was a connection to do with the school still. She keeps taking me to the school so often. Either their child was in the school or they must have had a relative or something in the school. This is the older fella, not the young one.
The psychics now turn their attention to the older of the two perpetrators.
The key, as I see it, is anyone who has a working history of this area and worked at the quarry, someone who now would be in their late 60s or early 70s, because I feel that age very strongly. I feel that he's married.
He looked like the respected father, you know. He looked clean cut, decent. Where is he? Sheffield is still up at Broadford area. I keep getting Broadford. And he's got grey hair now, like the grey going through the dark. He's still got brown hair, but it's definitely got grey in it because I can see the grey in his beard. So he's still like got the goatee. And he's got a lazy eye.
It is not just one killer. I feel that the killers all worked individually, separate to each other. The number of people they killed and why they killed is all for different reasons, but this just became a favourite place. They were all drawn to this area in different ways. But there's at least 3 killers who have put bodies here or more. There are still bodies here that are yet to be found, including the one that's over there.
Well, if you scoop the water out that's behind us, I think you'd actually find some more bones. I think you'd find another person. Because I don't think she's the only one out here.
In concentrating their energies on the youngest victim, the psychics have unearthed surprising new information that sheds light on the entire case. Next, a team of private investigators examined psychic leads with astounding results. The psychics have provided some intriguing leads, but to crack the case, hard evidence is required. Former Detective Anthony Weems heads a team of private investigators. Using conventional methods, they have investigated the psychic leads and produced some cold, hard facts.
The psychics have provided us with extensive new leads in the Tynong North case. We've investigated these leads and found compelling new evidence that connects more victims with the case and narrows the field of suspects responsible for these serial murders. 6 victims have already been associated with the Tynong North case, 4 in Tynong North and 2 in Frankston. But both psychics have sensed the presence of other bodies yet to be found.
Well, if you scoop the water out that's behind us, I think you'd actually find some more bones. I think you'd find another person. Because I don't think she's the only one out here.
There are still bodies here that are yet to be found. She's got straight blonde hair with a fringe, 14 or 15. Her family may have a Western Australian connection, but her name is definitely Sophie.
We conducted a thorough search of the name Sophie among unsolved murder cases, but found no matches. We extended our investigation to include Australia's missing persons database, and incredibly we found a West Australian girl by the name of Sophie who matched Scott's detailed description. Sophie was last seen in Melbourne in March 1980, the exact same year as the Tynong North murders. Sophie's whereabouts remain unknown.
There's definitely a female Margaret in some way connected to this case or involved with it.
We conducted an exhaustive search for murder cases involving a Margaret. We found a Margaret Elliott, who was murdered in April 1975, 5 years before the Tynong North murders. Margaret's murder remains unsolved.
But in some way, Margaret is related to this case, and I feel too that she may have just lived around the corner or nearby to where this girl lived. They seem to be linked.
Incredibly, Margaret Elliott lived in Berwick, just 1 kilometre from where Catherine lived. On top of that, Margaret's body was found in Glen Iris, just 2 kilometres from where Bertha disappeared.
but I almost feel like there's two Margarets.
On the night Margaret Elliott was murdered, she was visiting a friend in hospital called Margaret. But that wasn't the last of the Margarets.
Got that statue, that monument thing. They look like horns out of the ground or something.
I'm seeing a unicorn with a horn coming out of it.
I feel the unicorn head is somehow attached to the Margaret lady.
Both psychics have connected the name Margaret with horns or unicorns. Our investigation revealed that there is in fact a private school called St Margaret's. Its school emblem is a unicorn. Coincidentally, the school is located in Berwick, the town where Catherine lived and was last seen.
For some reason I've got a connection to do with the school, but he didn't know her. It also must have been a parent at the school.
And I feel that there's a school that's significant.
Both psychics have a strong sense that St Margaret's is more than just a symbol for Berwick. Australia's privacy laws prevented us from investigating school records. However, we were able to ascertain that one of the suspects was strongly connected with a school in Berwick. Despite 3 large-scale investigations, the police are still not certain how many perpetrators were involved in the Tynong North case. Working with Catherine's date of birth, Scott has not only identified more victims, but has also seen more than one killer.
You are looking for up to 3 killers. It is not just one killer. I feel that the killers all worked individually, separate to each other. The number of people they killed and why they killed is all for different reasons.
I can see a black car. I don't know what make it is.
There's a film connection.
Our team searched inquest statements and found that one suspect associated with the original investigation drove a black Toyota panel van, had worked for a cinema at the time of the murders.
This man has definitely killed more than once and is responsible for, I feel, the energy of at least 3 or 4.
Scott, however, wasn't convinced that this man was responsible for Catherine's murder.
The black car feels very foreign to Kathy. I don't quite feel that she went in the black car.
If the man in the black car wasn't responsible for Catherine's death, then who was?
The main perpetrator you're looking for worked in this area in an industry around here, whatever has been really close by here.
So he might have actually worked close by to here with big machinery at one stage?
It's definitely the quarry.
One of them had hair colour similar to hers.
We investigated these leads and found a police suspect who matched the psychic description. This suspect had in fact worked with heavy machinery in a quarry just 20 kilometres from Tynong North. However, Deb believes this man was not operating alone. She sees 2 men responsible for Catherine's murder, which could be a breakthrough clue.
She was pushed into between 2 people in head first. Stocky sort of build man as well, not fat. Yeah, I've got it, it's all right. She's got a beard and moustache. Got shivers. Absolute truth.
This suspect did in fact have a close family member matching Deb's description. We were stunned when we discovered that these 2 men actually worked together.
I think the police actually spoke to one of the men. She said there's no one in imprisonment, but they could have because they spoke to him.
The police did speak to the younger suspect during the course of their investigations. However, he had an alibi. This suspect produced a time card showing he was at work when Catherine disappeared. However, this alibi was far from watertight. It was common knowledge that workers often slipped out to sleep in their cars. The next step was to find a link between the suspect and each victim. Catherine, Anne-Marie and Bertha were found within 14 metres of each other. It's reasonable to assume that their lives were taken by the same killer or killers. This suspect was known to be a distant relative of Bertha Miller. On further investigation, we also learnt that the suspect moved in the same circles as Anne-Marie Sargent. But the links to Catherine were the most revealing of all. During our investigations, we spoke to an informant. We learnt from our informant that this particular suspect had a younger sister who attended the same school as Catherine.
I can almost see him standing on the oval looking at these school children.
I thought he was a father, but he could actually be an older brother of someone that was actually in the school at that time.
Catherine did in fact know this suspect. But during our conversations with the informant, we learnt the most chilling thing of all. Prior to Catherine's disappearance, this suspect made a sexual advance towards her, and she rejected him. The psychics have provided compelling new leads into the Tynong North murders. They've associated 2 more victims with the case. and have narrowed in on 2 suspects. Police have publicly stated that Victoria Police Homicide Squad deals in factual evidence and investigates accordingly. They do not employ the services of clairvoyants and psychics. If you have any information in relation to the psychic's findings, log on to www.10.com.au/sensing murder. If you have any information about this case which is unrelated to the psychics, please contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
Next, John is given the opportunity to reunite with Catherine when he sits face to face with Deb Webber.
She told me to tell you that you had nothing to do with this.
It's obvious if I had walked her, she'd be still here today. If there was one thing in life I wish I could change, it'd be that day.
The abduction and murder of these 6 innocent women had a devastating impact on those left behind. With the murderer still free, it makes it very difficult for loved ones to find closure. Even if the perpetrator is arrested, murder leaves an emotional scar that can never heal.
Since what happened with Catherine, I'm a changed person. I can get very niggly. Things can upset me, and all my mates will say I'm the sweetest person out, but they'll tell you at other times when I've been at parties and I've got a little bit of drink in me, there's something that just bites me all the time. Something makes me angry. And I started doing things. I got myself covered in tattoos. I started working out in the gym, and I thought, if they actually find this person, I'll hospitalise him. I actually demolished that bus stop a couple of times through pure anger. Doesn't solve anything, it was just something that was eating away at me at the time. And a lot of girlfriends since then said, it's the reason you've never married, John. There's something still eating at you and you're not able to settle down. Psychics, people like that intrigue me. I wouldn't mind sitting and talking to it. It wouldn't scare me. Like if I was sitting in a room and if Catherine came back as a ghost, I wouldn't be frightened. That side doesn't scare me.
Okay, so you haven't had a reading before, I know that. So I'm going to ask Catherine to come in. Yeah, okay. You spent a lot of time together, even from walking home from school and things like that.
Yeah, we socialised.
Walking home from school.
Socialised outside as well.
All the time nearly though. You were around about 16?
Yep, 16.
Yeah. But you were smaller, weight-wise. Yep. You were actually quite thin.
Yep. Spot on.
She keeps giving me number 4 for some reason.
Favourite number.
Is that what it is? She said your favourite colour's black.
Yes, it is.
You haven't got any on though. Oh, well, boots. You had a lot of fun. Both of you and Catherine had a lot of fun.
I asked if she remembers anything about a billiard room, her place, her mum.
She asked me if I want to get dirty.
Yeah.
No. The way she put it, Catherine said that you did naughty things in there.
Yeah.
But she loved it. She's got a smile on her face.
Yeah.
She said she's not going to tell anyone that.
No. Tell her I haven't told anyone either. But it's one time I do remember.
Was there a round rug in your lounge room?
Yeah, there was a round room.
So she's back in time showing me the lounge room in your house with the round mat? Yep. Yeah. Yep, that's right. The day that she went missing, she'd been at your place for a couple of hours or so.
Yep, visited me that day.
She said that you kissed her. That was as soon as she left, you went back into the lounge room. You put your feet up on the couch.
Yeah.
Like you laid down onto the couch area.
Yep.
She had a bag or something in her hand too.
Yep, she had a bag.
An arm bag. She's actually swinging it. I can see her swinging the bag. She's only small, wasn't she? Yeah, because I've only got small as I'm looking at her walking up the road. She said she doesn't have to like what happened. Yeah. But she said it's another thing in life you just accept and go on.
Why don't you just tell us where she is?
But she can understand it's not just her death that's done that to you, it was all the torment from the other people. Yes. How they ripped through you and everything. She said that was probably worse than her passing over, in a way.
Like, they were trying to put ideas in my head that she had run away, and because you're young and you can be influenced very easy, you start to think like that. You know, maybe she did leave me. I knew in my mind, no. But when you're young and you're by yourself with police, it makes life very hard.
They tried to break you down.
Yes.
To try and get you to break. And that broke her heart. Again, not her passing over so much. She told me to tell you that you had nothing to do with this, about her going missing.
It's obviously if I had walked her, she'd be still here today. If there was one thing in life I wish I could change, it'd be that day. Because I walked her everywhere. And it's just one time. Like, I was sick, but I could have made an effort.
But she said you couldn't make the effort because of the fever that you had. You weren't meant to go out of the house that day.
I could have made an effort.
John, she just said that she realises how you feel and the grief that you carry. All right, she said that she carried that grief for some time as well. You know, the same, okay, she's very smart, isn't she?
Very.
Because she said one life goes, another life comes.
My father's got the same belief.
And she said just because she passed over doesn't mean life stops. She said the world didn't stop, she just stepped out of it. She knows that you had a good time, but it's like any relationship.
Too short.
With death or someone breaking up in a relationship, it comes to an end. And that's what she's saying.
This is a bit harder to accept, though. You can move on from girlfriends and still stay friends and still catch up, still share good times. But this, you can't.
She just stumped her foot.
Yeah.
And she said, told you, he hasn't changed.
No.
She doesn't want you to be haunted anymore. But she doesn't want you to turn into an old man without loving someone in the physical. And she said that she wants you to plan to find someone. She said that she'll keep an eye on you, but from a distance, if that's all right.
That's fine.
She's just blown you a kiss.
Yeah.
And she's waving.
You can blow her a kiss and, yeah, I remember kissing. Just tell her I remember how good a kisser she was.
She said all she wants from you, yeah, she said all she wants from you from this day is actually just to keep loving her in your heart.
That'll never change.